You know, when I was a little boy, I was out here in Hollywood. I did a lot of films. Then I grew up and I went to New York and to Europe, and I studied at RADA. Studied acting. I really wanted to get into acting, Shakespearean acting. And I returned back, but what happened? I became a comedian, not an actor, a comic. And Eric Morris, I basically grew up here in Hollywood as an actor, left, and now is that I mean, you grew up as an actor, and you are an actor, and you're
Right.
an acting coach.
Right,
But
teacher.
I am a comedian, and I really wanted to get into acting. What happened? I mean, comics want to be actors.
And some actors want to be comics.
Comics, true. But that's what happened to me. But you went to Great Western?
Northwestern.
Northwestern in Chicago. Great
In
school.
Evanston,
Good school.
Wonderful school.
I think our Ten Commandments boys went there, didn't he?
Charlton Heston,
Charlton
yeah.
Heston.
He was before my time, but not, several years before my
Right.
time.
Good dramatic school for
Yeah,
acting.
Alvina Krauss was the muckety-muck there, the one that everybody studied with, like Patricia Neal and
Great
Richard
actress.
Benjamin and all those people. Now, Richard Benjamin was after me, so I was in between those people.
So you went to New York, or from Chicago, or California, or where?
Here.
You came here?
Yeah, my brothers were in the business. One was a writer, the other one was a stage manager, production stage manager, and they said, go to California. New York is a dying town. Now, this was in 1954 when I graduated.
Oh, how could that be? New York
That's
would
what-
never be a dying town,
don't know.
Eric. I mean,
That's what they said.
yeah, I think the best bet to tell any young actor who wants to be an actor, I think the best advice for me would go to New York.
Well, if you want the stage and if you want a stage background, you see,
Right.
I already had a stage background. I went to school for 5 years, studied theater, then I did 7 seasons of summer stock.
Wow.
When I came to LA, I had over 100 equity plays under my
Before
belt.
you even arrived,
Before I
right.
even arrived. But I wanted to do film. That was always my dream. I grew up looking at Hollywood, and I was influenced by that, and I wanted to...
I'm looking at you. You're saying, as a boy, Hollywood influenced you, really? Did it really?
Totally.
The films?
I lived in the movies.
What film that interested you as a child growing up? Because
God.
today's movies, to me, I can't, they're all computerized.
Well, I used to, as a child, I used to love the Tarzan adventures,
Right.
with Johnny Weissmuller
Right.
and Marino Sullivan, and then the Blondie series.
When you're getting fantasies, those are fantasy
Right.
movies. Those were escape movies. We don't have that. They try to make some of them, but we don't have that, Eric.
Yeah, I know.
to-
They're big glitzy effects movies now.
So that's what encouraged you to.
Yeah, everything. I was fascinated with the movies. I really wanted to be in film.
So what happened? You first film, you came out here, television or film? What was the first?
I worked in both. I
In
was
both?
very fortunate. I worked often when I first came out here. I worked at least once or twice a month.
Phil Silvers? Something about Phil
I
Silvers?
was on the Phil Silver Show, the new Phil Silver Show,
The
not
new-
the Bilko Show.
No.
The one he did here called the new Phil Silver Show. It filmed in 1964, and I had
Right.
a running part on that. And I was very close to Phil. We became very good friends, and I used to go to his house because his wife, Evelyn, studied with me, and she was the one who set up the audition. I auditioned, and they loved me, and I got the part, and it was a highlight. It's one of the highlights of my
Phil
life.
Silvers,
Yeah.
great. He lived around the corner from
Right, he
here.
lived on Alpine.
On Century Park East
Oh,
before he
right,
died.
Before he died, yeah, right.
Century Park East.
They had a house, I think, on Alpine.
Olympic. That's where he had a big apartment there,
Yeah,
a
had
condo.
5 daughters.
Yes, she got
Right.
married. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
they're very nice. Eric, so movies?
Movies that I like?
Yeah, no, the movies that you did. Some
Oh
of the
God,
films.
they go back. I worked in 20th Century Fox. I was in a slew of films there. I did Private's Affair, Wake Me When It's Over, 2 or 3 other films I can't recall the name of. I was in Tarawa Beachhead.
Okay,
These are all- right.
waiting, Eric Morris. How did you become a coach?
Well, that's an interesting story.
Yeah.
I was studying acting with Marty Landau.
Wonderful actor.
Right, and I had already been a professional actor for, about 11 or 12 years when I went to Marty's class.
Right.
As a matter of fact, Jack Nicholson came into Marty's class 1 week after I started.
Right.
We became very, very good friends during the 3 years I was with Marty. Well, anyway, Marty got Cleopatra, and he had to go to Italy. I was without a coach, And so I was bereft and frightened and scared and insecure because I was midstream in my process.
Right, right.
So a woman in Marty's class approached me and she said, Eric, I learned a lot from you when we were doing scenes together. Why don't you start a class? I said, oh, I'm not a teacher. I'm an actor. What is this teaching stuff? She says, you can continue your own growth process if you teach. That appealed to me, the ego of an actor, continue my work. So
I like the word ego of an actor.
Well,
you have to have that ego to be an actor.
You've
Is
got
that right?
to. I mean, if you're asking thousands of people to look at you,
Yeah.
you've got to think you're worth it, right?
Absolutely.
So I started with one student, then I had 2, and then I had 3, and then I had 4, and then I had 3, and then I had 5, and I had 4. And this went on for about almost a year. And then Kurt Conway,
Yes.
who was Marty's teacher for a while in New York, came into Hollywood and he talked to Marty by phone, I guess, and he said, look up Eric Morris, because Kurt was looking for an associate. He said, I don't like teaching beginners, so I need an associate who will do that.
Right.
He visited my small class of 8 or 9, and he wrote me a note, and he said, you're a born teacher, will you work for me? I said, sure. So I was with Kurt for about 5 or 6 years, and then I went out on my own, and I started writing books on acting, and the rest is kind of history. you know?
Let's get back. First, when a student first time she's never studied into your class, relaxation. You sit them on this. There's acting classes that have like relaxations, like
As I start with
exercise.
relaxation.
Is that what you do?
I have
with them?
I have a 3-part exercise which
Yeah.
I do to begin with. Relaxation, I have several approaches to it: weight and gravity, logi, stuff I name
Yogi,
names.
yeah, that's
logi,
right.
Logi.
Yeah,
You
love
just
that.
get
Yeah.
And then sensitizing, elevate your sensory availability so that you can be affected by internal and external stimulus. And then personal inventory, which is a process of how do I feel, expressing how you feel on a moment-to-moment basis, including all your distractions and inclusions and commentary. So it gets you into where you are. The first one is to eliminate tension. The second one is to elevate your sensorial availability. And the third is to get you in touch with where you are emotionally in the moment.
Right, in the
I
moment.
start every class when I direct when I'm working on a film or when I direct a play, when I'm coaching people in a
Right.
film, I have them do that in the dressing room. Because that's a preliminary getting ready to get ready exercise.
I see.
So that's what I start with.
But to be an actor, you must listen. And acting is actually basically reacting, isn't it?
It's more
Isn't
than,
it?
it is reacting and
Huh?
it's being involved, but I'll tell
Natural reaction, like this person
Organic
saying,
reaction.
or what?
Organic reaction, right.
That's it. Yeah.
But my point is that I say to people, I don't teach people how to act. I teach them how not to act.
Oh, that's good.
What I do is I hopefully get people to become professional experiencers. That's
How do you do that?
something I've
How do you do
coined.
that, though?
Well, I get them into dealing with who they are, coming from an organic, authentic place.
Right.
Getting rid of the impositional stuff and the fakery and the representationalism, and I do a lot of instrumental exercises which deal with eliminating tension, self-consciousness, inhibitions, emotional blocks, and I get them to level and to a being state.
Right.
And a being state is where you're not doing any more or less than what you feel. Now, what does a professional experiencer mean? It's an interesting definition for that.
Isn't it working constantly?
No, a professional experiencer actually is experiencing the life of the character from your own frame of reference.
Oh, okay.
In other words, it's like, at Jewish funerals, they hire professional mourners. Like, let's say somebody dies, they don't have enough people there, so
Right.
they hire 10 or 11 people to cry for this dead person. They're experiencing grief. Okay, an actor has to experience, let's say, Willy Loman or some other character in a piece.
Right.
Tom in Glass Menagerie or Amanda. The actor, from his own choices, his life experiences, his own choices, works for those choices to stimulate the organic emotional life that the character is experiencing.
Right.
Thereby actually being an experiencer. When you get paid for it, they hire you to professionally experience what the characters experience from an organic place. There's nothing fraudulent or impositional or representational about it. It's authentic.
Authentic, yes.
See?
So Eric Morris is really method I mean, come on, that
Absolutely.
sounds like
No, I'm
Lee
definitely-
Strasberg.
no, I'm definitely a method teacher.
That sounds like
Definitely.
Strasberg.
I don't deny it.
Natural Shelley Winters, method.
Right.
Well, Landau is method.
He was a member of the Actors
Actors
Studio.
Studio.
I was
Are
at
you-
the Actors
are you a
Studio.
member?
No, I was never a member. I was an observer. I was the head of the directors unit at the Actors Studio
Okay.
for 7 or 8 years.
Uh-huh.
And I was influenced by Lee.
That's right.
Through
That's
Marty,
Felix. Yep.
through Marty and by Lee. But I'd like to give you the kind of genesis of the method and where I kind of jumped in on it.
Right.
I'm definitely a method teacher.
Yes,
I'm a
quite
method
obvious.
actor. I'm a method teacher. I don't deny
Which
that.
is good.
I'm rather proud of it.
But
However,
Stella doesn't like it.
No, Stella-
Adler.
when I give you the genesis, you'll see what happened. You see, Lee Strasberg and Stella Adler went over to work with.
In Poland, wasn't it?
No,
Or-
it was in Russia,
Russia,
with
yeah.
Stanislavski. They both went over in the same year, but at different times. Now, when they came back after spending a month or 2 or 3, I don't recall or really know how long they spent
Right.
with them. The group theater was formed in New York. Both Stella and Lee were members of the group theater.
Right.
And Stella felt that you shouldn't use your own experiences to act from. Acting was imagination. Whereas Lee Strasberg felt that you had to use your own experience, for therefore, whose experiences do you have to use? So they were enemies and till his death. They fought, they were
Yes,
at
yes,
opposite
yes.
ends.
Yes.
I don't know how two people could go and be with the same man for a month or 2 or 3 and come back with such diverse
Totally, yes.
understanding of it. Anyway, I studied the method. I studied the method in a variety of places. I was instinctively attracted to it. I didn't know anything about the method when I started studying. But the actors I was attracted to were Montgomery Clift and
Johnny Garfield.
and
all
John
these great-
Garfield and all of the
Yep.
group theater and Lee, what's his name? Several of the
Jack
actors.
Nichols is definitely.
Definitely. Well, I
definitely.
worked with Jack and with
But
Marty.
there's something about Jack Nicholson, I must tell you. He has a combination of. There are good actors that put it together
Sure,
with her
sure.
method and his method
Sure.
of Strasberg.
Well, the method
They
is
put it
just a
together.
means to-
I understand.
Yeah.
Isn't that better to put it together? I mean, just being a method actor. Because
Well, the method is
we're-
just a means for
but
liberating
that-
who you are.
Well, what's his name? Is Total Method. Paul Newman.
Yes.
Woodward. Joan Woodward.
Joanne
Total.
Woodward. Yes, right. They have the
total.
same background.
Yes.
It's
They're
a
total
Strasbergian
actor
background.
studio.
You know, I was influenced by Marty, Lee, etc. But I've gone way beyond.
Kim Stanley too. Another one.
Kim Stanley
yeah.
was also a teacher.
Right.
I've gone way beyond the original precepts of the method.
Right.
I've created a kind of system of my own.
I see it here.
Based on the method, you know. So it's like the foundation for what I do. But the house that stands on the foundation, I created.
Yes.
I know that sounds a little egotistical, but it's true.
No, you have to. Hey, listen. This is no acting, please. This is your first book.
First book. Wrote that
Eric
with Joan
Morris.
Hotchkiss helped me to write that.
Joan Hotchkiss, wonderful.
She's a wonderful actress.
lady.
Yes, she is.
Great lady. And Jack Nicholson
Wrote the forward, yeah.
wrote the forward.
Yeah.
Tell me about Jack. He's going to get the award, believe me.
I hope so. I hope so.
I know he's going to hit the Academy Awards.
I hope so.
Because the people will vote for him this year.
Well, he got the Golden Globe
Well,
yesterday.
there's two people. There's, that one and the other one. What's his name? Fonda, Peter.
Yeah.
They got to give it to Jack. Helen Hunt, I say no. I don't think she's going to get it. I think Our Lady Miss Brown.
Yeah, for
Judy,
yes.
yeah.
Her
Because
Majesty
the
Miss Brown.
academies are older voters.
Uh-huh.
Is that true? They're
Yeah,
older voters.
Well, our whole civilization is getting into the older generation.
Yeah.
Because people are living longer now. You
yeah.
know?
But I have a feeling that Nicholson and Miss Brown will get it for
Well, I
the-
hope he does, because this will be Jack's third.
And Titanic won't
Yeah.
get it for the picture, believe me. It won't. It got it for the but,
Golden Globe, right,
But
right.
Nicholson's movie will get it.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's a great movie.
I'm going
It's
to see
a
it.
fantastic,
Yeah.
hilarious movie.
Yeah,
It's
well,
funny.
he's wonderful.
Titanic is just a good, big movie, a moneymaker movie.
It's a
It
spectacle.
It
It's
is,
a-
yes,
it's-
but it's computerized.
Yeah.
It's buttons and ships are going
Sure,
down.
sure.
There's nothing really.
As good as it gets is a relationship film.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
and-
that movie should be that.
I'm going to see it. And I always see. I see all of Jack's.
Hunting is good too. The young kid who wrote it, his friend
Yeah.
and him, they're good, very wonderful.
Yeah.
Congratulations. But tell me about this acting book of yours. Now,
Well,
this
that was
is
the first one, and it really gives you an overview of the technique, the theory, etc.
Right.
And it has 125 exercises in it,
Really, that many?
instrumental and craft exercises.
Where do
Now,
people get this? They go to the
They get it at
bookstores?
Samuel French. It's all over. I've noticed it in.
What do you tell a young actor when they come to your class, when they want to do a scene? If you see, say, give me an example. Here's an example. I'm a small guy, right? I'm small.
Okay.
You can't give me a scene that I'm going to play a lover.
I never start people out with scene work
You don't?
or monologue work.
Really?
I start them off instrumentally. It's like a racehorse. A great racehorse is the offspring of, let's say, two great thoroughbreds. But you don't enter him in a race until he gets an awful lot of training before he starts to.
When he finds himself?
When he's taught, he's trained. Same with an actor. First, sometimes I get some very experienced professional actors with 200 movies under their belt come to class, and they can do material, but I still work on them instrumentally.
Shelley Winters always says, to be a good actor, it takes a long time.
A lifetime.
A lifetime. To be a good actor, you never quit. Is that true?
Absolutely. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still working.
Interesting. Being and Doing, a workshop book
That's
for
a workbook.
actors.
Yeah, it's a workbook. That's a book that you can open up on any
Look at
page.
this. Yes.
On any page, you can open that book up, and it'll tell you something you can do that day. And there are empty pages that you can write your progress on in there. And it's actually a workbook. It's very different from my other books.
Sense memory.
Yeah, sense memory is a method.
That's
a
method.
foundation. It's a foundation approach.
The daily work schedule.
Yeah,
That's
it
very
tells you
interesting.
what you can do each day. It's a fun book.
Are you enjoy doing this, Eric? It seems like you, because you work awfully hard. You traveled. You went to Germany.
Yeah,
You
couple
traveled
times,
all over the world.
All over the world.
And
Right.
you even go to New York. You commute back and forth.
I did that for 3 years every other weekend.
And your wife stopped you, I think.
Yeah, she said, that's enough. You know what really stopped me?
What?
I woke up one morning in New York, and I didn't know where I was. It took me a full minute or minute and a half to say, where am I? And then when I realized that, I said, it's time
The
to
same
back
furniture
up.
in the apartment?
Yeah, I didn't know where I was. But I was going back and forth, and in between New York, I was going to Utah or Chicago or someplace like that, or San Francisco. So one morning I woke up and I just couldn't, I didn't know where I was. I said, it's time to quit.
That's
It's time
interesting. That's
to
interesting.
quit traveling so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've worked all over the world. I'm
Some of the people
Philippines.
that you have taught, I mean,
Oh,
some
there's
great
been such a
actors and
slew of them.
actresses.
Yeah.
I mean, you've taught a lot of good actresses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's been a whole slew of them over the years. They don't come to mind all the time.
That's okay.
But Terry Garr
Terry Garr is a great actress.
and Joan Hotchkiss,
Another good
who was a
actress.
wonderful.
Yeah.
She's turned into a performance artist and a brilliant
What do you
performance
mean
artist.
by a performance?
Well, she writes
artist?
her own stuff now.
Yeah.
It's multimedia, slides and other technical things. She writes her own show, performs her own show, tours her own show, and she's a performance artist. She does music. She's wonderful. And let's see, I have an actress who works with me right now, Priscilla Barnes. Do you know who she is?
I love Priscilla Barnes. I
She's
think
wonderful.
she's a
She
wonderful
works with
actress.
me. Yeah, I have another very promising actor, William McNamara. I call him Billy. Billy McNamara, very good actor. And over the years, I've had just so many.
Do you see any good, promising young actor out there like Montgomery Clift, who was such a good actor?
He's my
He made
favorite
him
actor.
Mine too. Sensitive.
My very
I
favorite.
think a man has to be sensitive to be a good actor.
I think James Dean had some
James.
of what Clift had.
You knew him.
No.
No, you've
I
never
was in
met
the
James?
Army. You see, he's a roommate of Marty Landau, so I've
Yes.
talked to Marty.
I met James many times in New
I'd
York.
never met him. I was in the Army,
Uh-huh.
and I was driving home from the fort on the day he died, and I heard it on the radio, and I was devastated. No, I'd never met James Dean. But he had a little bit of what Monty Clift has.
Monty, same thing. That's
I knew his
wonderful.
brother, Montgomery Clift.
Yes,
we were
yes.
great friends.
Yes.
Brooks.
Matter of fact, Kim Stanley was married to him?
No.
Wasn't
no,
Kim Stanley?
No. You know who
Yeah.
Kim Stanley was married to? My partner, Kurt Conway.
Kurt Conway.
Yeah, right. She was married to him.
And she had a daughter.
She had a daughter by
And they
him.
live in
I
Santa
think
Fe.
a son,
She
yeah.
teaches in Santa Fe.
Yeah,
I
she
think.
teaches acting.
She's a wonderful actress.
And she's a wonderful teacher, I hear,
The
too.
Goddess.
Yeah, The
Great
Goddess.
film. The
Wonderful.
Goddess. Lord Bridges. You know something? Every acting class I go, I've observed a lot of acting classes. I was in London, working, and I went to the London Royal Academy or even Gooey Man's in New York, and I always see they're doing the goddess. Why do they?
It's
The
a wonder-
exercise of the
It's
goddess.
a wonderfully written piece of material, and for an actress, it's fabulous. It's a tour de force kind of piece of material.
Right, and Tennessee Williams things too.
Yeah,
All Tennessee Williams.
I love Glass Menagerie. I was crewing Glass Menagerie at Northwestern, and I said someday I'm going to direct this play. And 30 years later, I did. I did at my own theater.
You had your own theater here?
Yeah, well, I have my own theater now.
You do?
Yeah.
Where, Eric? I didn't know that.
It's called the American New Theater. It's on Cahuenga near Sunset Boulevard.
Didn't know that.
It's an
Really?
Equity Waiver Theater, yeah.
So you're actually like the lab, the Actors Lab, years ago in Sunset. They had a
behind
working
Schwab's.
shop behind Schwab's,
Right,
right?
I heard about that.
And I remember, oh, it was wonderful. I was a kid coming out
Yeah.
here, and I loved it. I used to see I used to go to Schwab's and have
Yeah.
my cherry Coke.
I remember Schwab's.
that.
I used to go there for breakfast every day. You know, the story is that Clifford Odets, who lived in Laurel Canyon,
Right.
would run down the hill with chicken soup for the actors at the Actors Lab.
Yes.
You know, Clifford Odets is one of the
greatest.
You know,
yeah.
one of the greatest.
Tell me about Night Mother. Is this one?
That's a play I did a number of years ago at my theater also.
I see, the American New
American
Theater.
New Theater on Cahuenga.
Forgive me.
And it opened the week that the Gulf War started. And while it was critically very successful,
Right.
commercially it bombed. We had 3 people in the audience some nights, 6 people other nights. People were at home watching the Gulf War.
Why do we have such bad theater? I mean, we have good theater, but it's not like New York. But it's getting better. We have a little theaters here, a lot of good theaters.
Lot of Equity Waiver theaters.
Yeah, on Santa Monica Boulevard, which is Theater Row.
And also Cahuenga. There's 8 theaters on Cahuenga, the street that I'm on. There are 8 theaters, theaters,
Tell me about
off-ramp,
that. I love
off-ramp.
that little theater.
I have never been there.
That theater.
It's right across the street. Theater of Note just opened across the street of me.
Yes.
There's 8 theaters on Cahuenga.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the actors are coming from New York here.
Right. Theater is better now in Hollywood than it's ever been.
Yeah.
You
When
know.
you first arrived, it
Yeah.
wasn't.
You see, Skip, the problem with theater is that actors cannot make a living in theater. Not even in New York. I mean, if an actor...
But they want to be on that stage.
Of course,
That is the love.
It's a labor of love. That's why
Yes,
we do
yes,
it.
yes.
But you know, even in New York, what is it, $785 minimum a week, and unless you're a star, you get $785. Can you live on $785 a week in New York?
No.
You can, but boy, it's really tough.
Has it been tough for Eric Morris as a coach, or you're not acting? Are you still acting?
Yeah, sure.
You still
oh,
are.
Sure.
So you are. You
Sure, I
have your
did.
theater. You're
Yeah,
acting, you're
I go out on
teaching.
interviews. I had a...
Isn't that a lot of work for Eric Morris?
No,
What is
no.
keeping you?
I love it.
You?
I love it. I thrive on it. I live on it. Don't repeat my age, but I told you how old I
No,
was,
I would
right?
never. No. What has
And-
been the biggest change in your life, though?
Change.
Has there been?
No, I've been married a few times. That's changed.
Okay. What has been the hardest thing in life for you?
I think the hardest thing in life was my second divorce.
So you've been married twice.
3 times.
3 times. Any other hobbies? Eric, tell me about this book. This is the 3rd book.
Yeah, that's the 3rd book, and that one is the
What is
complete craft book. It contains 100% craft, 100% process.
Of acting, of individual talent.
Yeah, it's my process. It's the actual technique, the craft that I teach people.
Yeah.
How to fulfill materials, fulfill dramatic material
Right.
as a professional experiencer. That's the craft book.
This is very important.
That's-
Now you have a new book coming out.
Coming out.
It's not out yet.
Not
it's
out yet.
acting from.
No, that's my 4th book.
Oh, it's your 4th. Okay,
Yeah.
tell me about it. This is called the acting from.
The Ultimate Consciousness.
What does that mean, actually?
Well, ultimate consciousness is a term that one of my former students coined. It's that place where an actor crosses that line into a kind of magic never never land place.
Right.
And it releases your unconscious flow. And since 95% of our talent lives in the unconscious,
Right.
peaking the unconscious and getting
Right.
it to work for us
Right.
is the goal. But my new book is called Acting, Imaging, and the Unconscious.
Oh, okay.
And that'll be out in June or July, depending on the editorial and the post-production stuff. I'm finished with it.
You are finished with it.
Well,
now.
preliminary writing, I'm finished, yes. So
Where would
there's-
you like to see yourself 5 years from now, Eric? I mean, or even a couple years from now. You know, you must have some great students that you've watched grew. I mean,
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
know?
oh yeah, and I'm very pleased with what I see, the work, how it pays off in terms of television and film and stage. Where would I like to be 5 years? healthy and alive and doing what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing.
It seems like you are. You're having a
Yeah.
good time in
I'm
life
having a
right
great
now.
time. I'd like to act more. I'd like to work more often. Yes, I'd like to do that. I've done a lot of directing when I was at the Actor Studio. Directing is a third love, not a first love.
Your first love is
Acting.
theater or films?
Well, I like films.
You do?
Yeah,
Really?
I like films. Yes, I think to be a film actor
And you
is
direct.
a greater accomplishment. For some reason, I feel that way. Some people would argue with me.
Right.
But as I say, I've done over 100 equity plays, so it isn't that I'm ignorant of the stage.
First, very first, tell me, the best play you love. What is the play that you love, Eric? There must be some wonderful play that you like. What is it?
I love The Glass Menagerie.
That's a classic.
That's a classic.
Have you ever met Tennessee Williams?
Yes.
He's wonderful.
I'll tell you where I met him. It's a little embarrassing, but
That's
I'll tell
okay.
you anyway.
I met him in Bangkok.
I met him. I
did.
met him in the restroom at the Players Ring Theater.
Okay.
I was directing a play there, or I was crewing a play, and in intermission, it was a large,
Right,
large restroom.
right.
A bunch of men went into the restroom, and there he was doing his
Whatever.
duty.
Yep.
And I said, "Mr. Williams, I really admire you." He said, "Well, thank you very much."
He laughed.
That's when I met him. And I know what play it was. It was The Rose Tattoo. And I was stage managing the play, and he had come to see it. And he liked our production of it. And I think that's how I met. It's a
That's
very
my favorite.
embarrassing
That's
story.
my favorite film, with Anna Magnani,
Yes.
one of the greatest actresses in the world. We'll
Yes.
never have another actress like
Yes.
that.
Yes,
For
I
me.
loved her. Did you see her in
I've
Orpheus
s-
Descending?
Oh, of course. I've seen Anna Magnani in
right.
everything. But
Right.
she's the greatest actress ever,
Yes.
ever. The young kids should rent her films and study Anna. They do copy anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's
Yeah,
nothing new.
she had an earthiness and a soul that you don't see very
I
often.
love her. I think she's great.
Lee Strasberg loved that Italian actress.
I do too.
Eleonora Duse.
Adusa, yes,
He
yes,
loved
yes.
Duse. He would always talk about Eleonora Duse. You know.
But you know, Shelley Winters is
I love
married.
Shelley.
Shelley lives here in Hollywood, and she studies. She teaches also.
I know.
At the Actors Studio, and she teaches methods.
Sure.
And Landau's there also
Sure,
teaching.
sure.
I think he is the head man there, isn't he? Now I think
He might
is.
be. I think it's it's run by 3 or 4 people now.
It is?
I think he's one of the people.
You can't go in there just to observe. You have to.
You have to be invited, and you're either a regular observer or you're a member or you're whatever. You have to audition.
Eric Morris, I really think. Well, talking about showbiz today and acting. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here, Skip.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think it's great.